I think about airSlate and product, how it can help me solve various things. I think the most simplest one, if you think about it, the first thing that will probably come to mind to people when they think about airSlate is this just pure like increasing efficiency, right? So I have 100 papers to move across the table. How can I speed the process of moving papers across the table, right? Or I want them electronic versus actually carrying papers or things like that. So that's just pure efficiency. And that's how people oftentimes stumble into electronic signature documents and things like that, right? And that would probably be the first thing that would come to my mind, right? I have multiple documents. So again, NDA is the most frequent document we see, right? Oftentimes almost every customer will sign NDAs. Employees need to sign NDAs. Investors, if we're talking to potential investors, targets, they need to sign NDAs. It's a lot of NDAs. They're usually pretty simple, easy to automate. And so that's like a low-hanging fruit. It's like, how can I make sure that NDAs go through quicker? And anybody who you talk to in the legal team, if they have a right mindset, they want the NDAs, particularly sales NDAs, go as quick as possible because that could delay sales process. So say if Ben is a salesperson, he scheduled a meeting with a customer for later today, and he reaches out last minute, he realizes we don't have an NDA. If I'm going to take 3 days to review that NDA, he has to reschedule the meeting, which extends the sales cycle. If I can turn it around quicker, there is a potential like revenue, right, impact to the company. So a good a good legal department in the company that supports revenue, that's what you want to do. You want to support revenue. So that means the quicker you can get this done, this is potentially could be a money issue, right? And I would, this is how I see it. This is how I would tell others about it, right? Is you can potentially increase your revenue by just streamlining your legal operations, right? So that's the first thing that I would think about, right? And then as you get more complex, right, you think, wait, but I also need to save this document. And every time I send it via Sign Now or DocuSign, then I have to drag it from my email and save it into this folder. And it's just really annoying. If you can save it into that folder, that's awesome. But it's pretty simple automation stuff, right? And then, obviously, if you can start populating things into different, so like, for example, we in the legal team use a project management tool. We use Smartsheet for project management. So airSlate can pull information and create tasks automatically in Smartsheet. And then Smartsheet is our like legal ticketing system. So most in-house legal departments, if they're mature enough, they'll have a legal ticketing system, just like support tickets, right? So I want, if something comes in, it's nice to automatically create a ticket there. And then as you think about it, there's more and more use cases. Hey, automatic storage, automatic recording, automatic project creation. Those are valuable things. And then, one additional tool that I think airSlate, again, that's where we need to speak it into existence a little bit, is negotiations. So to lawyers, the way you negotiate a contract, it comes in via email, and maybe, okay, I solve it via airSlate. It comes in via airSlate, still comes in into an email or some spot. I have to upload it, open in Word document, redline it, send it back, and then you just keep playing that thing. If there is a platform that can offer you a negotiation in platform where you get a notification, hey, there's new changes, you just go in directly, accept, reject, make other changes, and you punt it over, it's kind of convenient, right? So those are very helpful. If you can, so basically in the ideal world, that's what we did with NDA flow, right? Is we were able to, so we get a notification, right? The person who's responsible for review gets a notification that there is an NDA. They can start reviewing it right away. There's already a task in their project management tool that they need to review this NDA, automatically created task, right? So you get notification that there's a new task, you go click on it, you get the document. And if it's in the platform, we can see what changes the customer made to our standard form, if they're using in-platform tracking. So there's both options. Some people, you can attach it to airSlate if you don't like to use our negotiation tool, but if you're okay using negotiation tool, you redline in airSlate. We see the changes, reject, we keep negotiating, then once it's finalized, it automatically goes out to signature to the right people. It's already pre-filled, the right people sign. It automatically gets saved in the right spot. and there's a recording of that NDA in the spreadsheet. And then next time around, if somebody tries to initiate NDA for this same person, they will get a notification. There is already an NDA in place. You don't need a new NDA, right? So, which is also very helpful. That's another thing that legal has to think about, is to track where we have an active NDAs, expiring NDAs, things like that. So those are all very helpful things. And then once you feel that, you're pretty happy with yourself. But there is two other things that I think are important to point out to somebody like me that are not obvious. And one is control, and the other one is transparency. So those are two things I have to worry about when I wear my head of legal hat. So in addition to just improving efficiency, that was my big first point, right? But the second one is control, that I actually have visibility into who is doing what. And NDA is not a great example, but as a document workflow gets more complicated, it becomes much more important. So let's use a vendor example. So you guys in marketing, you want to bring in a new vendor, like a new software provider, right? Well, so it's not just as simple as you tell me, oh, you initiate the flow, click on it, and then I review the contract we sign. No, there's multiple other things that need to be done. And I, as a lawyer who sends it for signature, I want to make sure that things are done before anybody goes. So say Sean is the signatory here, and Ben decides to initiate this software to me. So he comes to me, he submits a flow, right, that says, I want to buy this software. Here's the contract terms. Here's the business terms. Here's a few questions I'm going to answer. And then after that, it goes to, say, budget approval, right? Because I need to make sure that there is budget for the software before anybody signs it. And then there's next step, which is, say, finance approval, right? Because there might be sort of non-standard financial terms that require approval. And then by the way, I also have track of Ben initiated this. So if at the end of the day, there's questions about why do we need this, we can go back and figure out it was Ben, right? So Ben's responsible. And so basically I have, by the time we're done with this contract, I have a flow that I can go back and audit. So later on, something pops up, vendor blows up. We figure out that we have a vendor that we don't need. Drew is mad because we're spending money for no reason. I go back into the flow and I say, okay, who approved the budget? Okay, somebody approved the budget, right? Or didn't approve the budget. Then I know where the problem is, right? And then I go back eventually to Ben and say, Ben, why did you buy this, right? If you don't have the visibility, it's possible to track, but it's a bunch of emails. You have to search your inbox. And so it's visibility. And for me, oftentimes the way legal works is legal prepares everything for contract. We have to finalize it and send for signature. And oftentimes the person who signs knows nothing about the whole thing. So they're pretty much like they just want me to tell them confidently, everything is fine. They don't know anything, right? And so I need to confidently say that the entire flow has been properly built, the right people approved it, it went through legal review, you're fine to sign. And then the person doesn't worry about it. So that's the ideal scenario, right? That's how we want to function. So that's why control is extremely important to me. And then the last thing is transparency. So oftentimes, so again, let's use the example of Ben initiating a software purchase. It's going to take a while, whether you like it or not. So he's going to want to follow up with me multiple times, most likely during the process. Like it went on budget review and somebody forgot about it, right? Etc. And oftentimes, so what would happen now is Ben emails me, right? He asks this request, and then I send multiple emails, and there's a bunch of things going on, but nobody really knows what's going on or alternatively, you have a thread with 25 people copied on it, and everybody gets every email, and it's kind of annoying. So I think airSlate is good that it also allows that transparency in the right level of communication. So Ben is the business owner for this. He's going to get all emails, whether he likes it or not, because he's the interested person. But then the budget person is only going to get email when they need budget approval, and then they're going to forget about this project. And so I can set up notifications, right? And visibility. And ideally, I might hopefully, so airSlate should be configurable where I can give Ben visibility into the process. Ideally, like Ben clicks one button and he can see on the screen where in the workflow this is right now. and he can, okay, I need to ping budget. I don't need to go to Roman because Roman hasn't even seen this yet because it's on the budget review that's stuck there. So I go to Mark. Mark is going to help me out to move this process forward. So those are two additional benefits that I think you do not look for. But if somebody were to tell me that I'll have that, I'm like, oh, that's cool. You know, I may not come by airSlate for those two things, but if it helps me solve it, then I would actually see more value in it.